Hello friend and welcome back. Today we are talking about Paula's Choice 2% BHA liquid exfoliant with salicylic acid. And we're talking about Medicate's Press and Clear exfoliating 2% BHA tonic gentle release salicylic acid. We're talking about salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is a beta hydroxy acid. It's the most widely recognized one. Alpha hydroxy acids are more superficial acids like glycolic and lactic. There are a lot more of those, but beta hydroxy acids, they're relatively few on the market. They are oil soluble, so that they can get into your pores and kind of roto-rooter them out. They're particularly important in acne products. In fact, there's some cosmetic chemists that I follow that comment that that's just how you make an acne product. If you want to expand a line, you just make a very simple formula and add in a sprinkle of 2% BHA and voila, you have an acne product now. So it is a fairly simple ingredient as far as it gets in there. Roto-rooters the oil out of pores so that it's thinner and helps clear clogs out and overall kind of just normalizes oil production. For most people who are seeking out salicylic acid, that means it's going to bring your oil production down, because usually if you're looking for something to unclog congested pores or acne, you are a little bit oilier, at least in some areas like your T-zone, and that's not something that you really want. Salicylic acid will normalize that oil production down so you aren't feeling so oily, so shiny. But that's a long-term effect of it. It's not a quick fix. It's not going to be like mattifying powder or those mattifying papers that we used to use all the time. So it is going to be something that you want to use for the long haul to get the most benefits. But those benefits are many. We're talking about decreased pore size, so closer to that glass skin that everyone's looking for. It's anti-inflammatory. You can get it from willow bark as well, which also makes aspirin, acetyl salicylic acid. So they are close cousins, but the big thing is it's going to bring down some inflammation. It's not going to be instant. You're not going to be like rosacea and red prone and put salicylic acid on and boom, everything's going to be nice and even pigmented. But over time, it will bring down the overall inflammation, bring down that oil production, bring down that look of pores, so you get smoother, clearer skin that is just a little less red and angry. Especially when you have deeper comedones, those can be quite inflammatory and give us raised red areas all over and irritate the surrounding skin as well. So it is exfoliating. So even though it's oil soluble and spends a lot of its activity inside the pore walls, where AHAs can't really go, it's going to break up the corneocytes, which are the dead flat skin cells that we want to get out of there. So whether they're inside the actual lining of the pore or the follicle, that can clog pores up. So if you can break up the glue that's holding them together and holding them onto the skin and let them exfoliate more naturally and more regularly and evenly, you are going to be less likely to have congested pores or clogged pores. That sounds perfect, right? Why would anyone not want this in their routine? There aren't a lot of great answers. It is a very formidable active to add to most routines. It's going to give you some exfoliation. Definitely if you're drier, alpha hydroxy acids work a little bit more appropriately for your skin type. But if you tend to be normal to oily, salicylic acid is an awesome powerhouse ingredient. The only the only downside is the research. Most research that has been done on salicylic acid, as far as how effective it is for all the things we just talked about, it was done on peel strength formulas. So like 20, 30 or higher percentages left on for a short period of time and used regularly but infrequently throughout the week. So this is a daily product. You can, in some cases, use it twice a day. Some people use it a few times a week. If you are in the throes of deep acne, definitely talk to your medical provider or your aesthetic provider, but probably you want to be using this at least once a day or a similar product to that, just to like we talked about, we want to normalize the oil. We want to take that inflammation down so that the skin is able to heal a little better. We want to kick off that dead skin cell layer so that it is just a smoother and more regulated skin barrier so that you can get to a smoother, clearer looking complexion. Rarely do I encounter folks who have sensitivity to this. 2% is the max. As far as the US FDA goes, it is the max dosage you can use for an acne treatment. Now, Paula's Choice does do a kind of sneaky thing. I think it's great. I think it's working a loophole that can help a lot of people. But as long as you don't market it as a drug that is treating acne in the US, you can use higher percentages of that. That's how you do peels as well. But they have a 9%, I believe, BHA product for just like texture and spots. They don't say acne, but it was a very cool product, worked really well, especially for stubborn acne. It was a handy thing. Now, again, in the US, they can't market it as being an acne product, but spots and texture, things like that that are commenting on the appearance of skin, you can sneak under the radar for that in most cases. So a higher percentage definitely run more risk of irritation. All that said, 2% is a nice strength for most people to use daily or every other day if you're just looking for mild exfoliation. And some mild anti-inflammatory. There are definitely smaller percentages out there, like there's the Calm and Clear, I believe, from Geek and Gorgeous that I was trying out with a little bit of PHA as well. Now that one is a 0.5% BHA product. So depending on what the formulator was looking for, you can go lower than that, but it's really rare that anyone has irritation from 2% BHA. Two different technologies here. This one actually has an encapsulated salicylic acid. So it's still a 2% BHA, but the idea is it's going to be even more protected and even more effective because it's going to be able to find its way to exactly the pore lining or layer of skin that we're looking at to really get good exfoliation and clear out that congestion. So while this was my first love of BHA and very special product in a lot of people's lives, look up the history on it if you want to know. It is a very simple formula. There's not a lot going on as far as complex ingredients or delivery systems. It really is just a nice base preservative system and then the 2% beta hydroxy acid or salicylic acid. This one, however, almost identical texture. Ooh, let's do texture stuff. It does have, so I consider it just slightly thicker than water. So it's very quick to soak in. It does leave a little bit of a mild hydration on the skin just because it's got, I think, methyl propane diol. Yeah, methyl propane diol, so lightly moisturizing on that one. This one is a little trickier to do this way, but it's sort of meant to be done on a cotton pad. I think this one feels ever so slightly lighter weight on the skin, but they pretty much match as far as that lightly moisturized base. These are not fussy. They will go on underneath basically any other product, even makeup, even sunscreens, things like that. So I like them both equally for texture, and they don't get tacky. They just go into your skin. But along with the encapsulation, so maybe a little bit more effective, it also has 2% tranexamic acid and a sake ferment, which is Saccharomyces, which you may recognize from that cult Ordinary product. We'll talk about that another time. So a little more going on with this one. It actually turns out to be a little bit cheaper ounce for ounce than Paula's Choice. $35 US for 4 fluid ounces or 118 milliliters, and that turns out to be $8.75 a fluid ounce. Or the Medicate Press and Clear is $38 for 5 fluid ounces or 150 mils, which is $7.60 per fluid ounce. So a little bit more bang for your buck here. And it's just a cheaper ounce for ounce product. But the tranexamic acid is going to be anti-inflammatory as well as help decrease hyperpigmentation. You know, I always want a little bit more brightening wherever I can sneak it in. This is an awesome option. And those who are really in the deep throes of acne, that's just another anti-inflammatory to help calm down the redness and angriness and potentially decrease the healing time for PIE or PIH. So that's awesome. And then the sake ferment or the Saccharomyces filtrate, I love that that's in there, and I didn't even know it. This is actually my partner's, but I sneak it all the time when I'm feeling a little more congested. So I will be using that a lot more often thanks to this research, because Saccharomyces ferment filtrate is just awesome. It's full of amino acids. It's going to be hydrating and healing and calming, and I just think that adds a really cool extra bonus. Little side notes, and then I will talk a little bit about the ordinary if we have time. Salicylic acid is actually not a true BHA. I learned this from Cosmetic Chemists, which I love. Those two ladies are a hoot and so well informed, and their brand is cool. Yes, so it is actually an aromated hydroxy acid. It functions as a BHA because it is oil soluble, but that is just kind of comical to me that the most popular and almost the only well-known beta hydroxy acid that we all know of is actually not a beta hydroxy acid at all. So just a cool little nerdy fact there. Also, salicylic acid on its own is a UV sensitive ingredient, so it will break down with UV exposure. Now, doesn't matter here because this is just pure salicylic acid, non-encapsulated, and it's in an opaque bottle, so totally fine. Do whatever you want with that. This one, however, does have a nice note on the back, and that's what drove me to do some more research, is that it says recycle this, but also store out of direct sunlight. It is clear-ish. Light blue is not going to block any UV as far as I know. But it's very pretty, and like most Medik8 things, it looks really pretty on the counter, but I had to look into why it was not safe to be put in sunlight, and it's because it's going to break down. So store this one in a drawer. Even though it looks super pretty on the countertop, find a different place for it if you get sunlight in your bathroom. If you don't get sunlight in your bathroom, you're good. Also worth noting that neither of these have any scent whatsoever, so that's nice for our sensitive noses and sensitive skin. I did leave out that Paula's Choice has green tea extract in it. Now, it's not like true EGCG, which would be a little bit nicer. It is just a generic green tea extract, so we don't know exactly what the concentration is or how much antioxidant we're going to get, but green tea is an awesome antioxidant, so I need to give them credit. They did throw some extra bells and whistles in there, not just the salicylic on its own. Otherwise, they're both very stable formulas. I just think this one, you get more bang for your buck and has a few more bells and whistles that will help most people who are looking to treat with salicylic acid. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Until next time, my friend, be well.